Haribol. So we're reading prayers of Queen Kunti, and this first portion kind of addresses why I got inspired to start these like collective reading of Queen Kunti's prayers, because there's a very interesting relationship between Queen Kunti and Krishna. The Yadus, specifically the Pandavas and the Vrishnis, they're all aware of the fact that Krishna is God, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and yet they have some sort of a spontaneous relationship with him. And it's interesting how they make everyone aware of that, and at the same time they don't remain like reserved or in reservation towards Krishna with the love. And Prabhupada, he sort of points it out right in the beginning of this report, how although he was playing a part of the nephew, she did offer obeisances. So it's like, I find it very, very humorous that she is, very in awe and reverence towards her nephew, which like usually the nephews will offer obeisances to their elders. Anyone would like to continue? Maybe, I don't know if you
read the whole thing?
No, I didn't finish the prayer.
Oh, if you want to finish, go
ahead. Okay. I mean, I asked if you would like to continue.
I just don't know where we're at.
Okay. So you can tell like that, it's okay. He is both within and without also. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, 15th chapter, 15th verse, I am situated in everyone's heart, and due to me only one remembers, forgets, and cognizant, etc. Through all the Vedas, I am to be known because I am the compiler of the Vedas and I am the teacher of the Vedantas. When Kunti affirms it that the Lord, although he is both within and without all living beings, he is still invisible. The Lord is so to say a puzzle for the common man. When Kunti experiences it personally, that Lord Krishna was present before her, and yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of the Brahmastra by Ashwatthama. Kunti herself was puzzled whether Shri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. But in fact, he is both. But he reserves the right of not being exposed to the persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called Maya, energy of the Supreme Lord, which controls the limited vision of the rebelled soul. It is explained as follows. Yeah, Krishna, he says, Mayata tamidam sarvam jakat avyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani naham teshu avashtita. That I'm there, I'm everywhere by my energy, and yet I'm not there. And how to perceive Krishna everywhere is a science, and Queen Kunti is wants to transmit it to us, and yeah, let's see how to do it. Would you like to read, Keith Prabhu, the next verse 19?
Okay. Translation. Being beyond the range of...
We can read the Sanskrit too, it's nice. Prabhupada, he likes when we read the Sanskrit.
Okay.
Maya jivanikam chinnam agya dokshajam apyayam. We can do all together.
Okay.
Na lakshase buddha drishan nato daro yata.
Translation. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of diluting energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna affirms that less intelligent persons mistake him to be an ordinary man like us, and thus they deride him. The same is confirmed herein by Queen Kunti. The less intelligent persons are those who rebel against the authority of the Lord. Such persons are known as asuras. The asuras cannot recognize the Lord's superiority. Lord's authority. When the Lord himself appears amongst us as Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, or in his original form as Krishna, performs many wonderful acts which are humanly impossible. As we shall find in the 10th canto of this great literature, Lord Sri Krishna exhibited his humanly impossible activities even from the days of his lying on the lap of his mother. He killed the Putna witch, although she smeared her breast with poison just to kill the Lord. The Lord sucked her breast like a normal baby, and he sucked out her very life also. Similarly, he left the Govardhan hill. Oh, this is all one paragraph. just as a boy picks up a frog's umbrella and stood several days continuously just to give protection to the residents of Vrindavan. These are sometimes superhuman activities of the Lord prescribed in the authoritative Vedic literature like the Puranas, Itihasas, histories, and I thought Puranas was histories. What's the difference between, what does Purana mean?
History.
Yeah. So Itihasas is just another
part of the
specific.
Puranas.
Oh, okay. He has delivered wonderful instructions in the shape of the Bhagavad Gita. He has shown marvelous capacities as a hero, as a host soldier, as a teacher, and as a renouncer. He is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such authoritative personalities as Vyasa Devala, Asita, Narada, Madhva, Shankar, Ramanuj, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakrabarti, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and all other authorities in the line. He himself has declared as much in many places of the authentic literatures, and yet there is a class of men with the demoniac mentality who are always reluctant to accept the Lord as the supreme authority, absolute truth. This is partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy, which results from various misdeeds of the past and present. Such persons could not recognize Lord Sri Krishna even when he was present before them. Another difficulty is that those who depend more on their imperfect senses cannot realize him as the Supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientists. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge. But it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described herein as adokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. All our senses are imperfect. We claim to observe everything and anything, but we must admit that we can observe things under certain material conditions only, which are also beyond our control. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. Queen Kunti accepts this deficiency of the conditioned soul, especially of the woman class, who are less intelligent. For less intelligent men, there must be such things as temples, mosques, or churches, so that they may begin to recognize the authority of the Lord and to hear about him from authorities in such holy places. For less intelligent men, this beginning of spiritual life is essential, and only foolish men decry the establishment of such places of worship, which are required to raise the standard of, who are those people you were saying yesterday? Some form of sahajiya. Don't go to the temple.
Well, they're not exactly sajiyas. They're called. Yeah, it wasn't yesterday. It was 2 days ago. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Arya Samaj. Arya Samaj. Samajas. Aryas Arya Samajis are like, it's a sect in India that they're impersonalists. Mayavadi is impersonalist, and they say that God is everywhere, so there's no need going to the temple. And Prabhupada like cracks a joke with them that if God is everywhere, why not in a temple? Why they deny the temple? And that's the thing about a neophyte devotee or someone less than a neophyte. He cannot hear from authority. That's one of the main impediments in the beginning of spiritual life, that we're so much used to, authority that misled us, that tricked us, that fooled us. And then when we come to spiritual life, another time there's authority, and I have to hear and adhere and follow some principles. Oh my God, this is, So the Arya Samajis, they say, no, no need of anyone, no need of any authority, any temple, any formality, and there's no need of any form, including the form of God. God doesn't need the form. It's your material conception. So it's not a way how to actually experience God. I wanted to share actually something in regards to what you read previously about the scientists that try to understand God. Prabhupada speaks about this portion, and it's like the concept of that God is a person is so deep, because what is God, like meaning the absolute truth? If it's a person, you cannot just understand it because you want to understand it, or because you're very smart or very intelligent. You have to get to know a person, and if a person he doesn't want to be understood by you, you can do whatever. He's not gonna reveal his heart. He's not gonna reveal his mind to you. You might even have all the information, but if he doesn't want to, then it's a useless attempt. And what is that? What's the real attempt? Is service. Because if you serve someone, you might not even have any information about him. He's gonna tell you. He's gonna tell you what he is. And the same is about this absolute truth. Like the fact that the absolute truth is a person is like so revealing by itself, kind of. What I mean? It's kind of what came to my mind when you were reading that. If any one of you Prabhus would like to share something, don't hesitate to share.
Well, I like the idea of God as a person. Before, as one point, my mother, she was going through difficulties, drugs problems, stuff like that, and I was trying to speak to her and help her, support her somehow. And then afterward, I was wondering thinking like, what is it that somebody needs to feel right? What, like from here on, to be fixed, whole. And I could just thinking all these different things that I thought about in my life and experiences, and I couldn't come up with anything. The only thing I could tell was that something was missing in my heart. Mm-hmm. And from that question, I questioned the qualities of love within my heart, and I could tell that I needed to love somebody that's a person. You can love things, you can love an animal or whatever, but you need someone, or, there's some little more love there with animals, say personality, but but I could see it's within the inherent quality in my own heart that I can observe, that to fully have reciprocation with love, it has to be a person.
Yeah, it has to be. Prabhupada says love means two, and that's why Ramanujacharya, he said sometimes, Ramanujacharya is the acharya for the Lakshmi Sampradaya, and they have like a very thick tilak and a red spot in between. So he sits like this in his pictures. It's not because he's a hippie and he wants peace in the world, but it's because two means two. We're not Mayavadis and personalists. They want to make everything one. I don't need anyone. This independence. Women's independence, men's independence. Like there's no independence in the material world. Neither for a woman, neither for a man, neither for the spiritual master. even Krishna, he is not independent. He is the supreme independent, but he gives an example of how not even he is not independent. He submits to Radharani. So a woman, she submits to the husband submits to the spiritual master submits to his spiritual master, and his spiritual master submits to God, and God submits to Radharani. Everyone is controlled by someone. So this, I don't need anyone. I like I saw this one meme once, that when I need to consult someone, I talk to myself. Such a silly concept. Like, why do you need to consult anyone if you why do you need to consult yourself if you're in problem? You are already with yourself. It's like trying to clap the hand with one hand. Like, you cannot do that. So this is, because when I hear you explaining this, it really triggers me, because I'm like coming from this like Vancouver and like all the hippie people and the scene and I mean, I'm like that too myself still, that I think, I can make it on my own. I can love myself, like self-love, self-care is like, like love means two. It means you love someone and he loves you, and there is a service. It must be a service. That's reciprocation. And how can you serve yourself? There's no such thing. I serve myself. We might thinking that's like that's Maya. I think I'm serving myself. I'm thinking, I'm putting food in my stomach and I feel very good.
It's like that's that picture of the snake that eats himself, eh?
Yeah. That's what happens ultimately. We cannot, because we cannot love ourselves. That love very fast, it turns into lust. It turns into greed. It turns into pain, into suffering. Anything contradictory, which makes no sense, it's gonna, cause you suffering at the end. So like you said, like you were looking for someone to love. Like there is a song, I'm looking for someone to love, like Janis Joplin or something like that, right? So who is that one? That is Krishna, but because we mistake Krishna, or we're not looking for Krishna. Krishna is everywhere. He can appear from any even object or anything like that. But because we're not looking for Krishna, then we're never satisfied. We're never happy. We never will feel content, even if we try to love someone in the material world, because we don't even see what is that. Like, we're trying to serve ourselves, but what is the self? Do we know what is the self? We think I'm a man. So, my service to me is to shave and exercise and earn a lot of money and run after women and impress the women, get a nice car. But, maybe not even next life, maybe this life, I decide I'm a woman, or I decide I'm something else, I'm a giraffe, So the service we have, being a eternal spiritual spark, we have an eternal service that eternally satisfies the spiritual spark. If we just interchange with the service, because the body, becomes this or becomes that, not even the body, the mind, then there's no satisfaction there. The mind relies on consistency, on being grounded, why? Because that's the identification with the soul. The mind looks for connection with the soul. So that's why even in the psychoanalysis, right, the nervous system cannot sustain if you're changing all the time. If there's no, mode of goodness, it's based mainly on regularity. If people have no regularity, if they don't wake up, I heard that especially waking up in a specific time, not so much going to bed in a specific time, which that naturally that affects when you wake up, if you're not regulated enough. But I know for me, I can really experience that if I wake up at different timing, it just, messes up my nervous system completely. So similarly, the mind too is so much, we're so much conditioned. So
that's another quality of love that I noticed within myself, love and pleasure. that I was seeking was I didn't want it to end. I didn't want it to die. I didn't want it to change. Yeah, so you're saying consistent. We want something consistent. Like something stable to be able to put our heart and energy into like that and how it's good for us.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting. I think I stopped you again.
It's all good. I'm almost done. For less intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord, as generally done in the temples, mosques, or churches, is as beneficial as it is for the advanced devotees to meditate upon him by active service.
Jai.
Can I read number 20?
Yes, please, Leah.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. We're going to read together the Sanskrit. Tapa Ramahamsa Bhakti Yoga Vidhanakam Katam Pashyamahishvita. Translation. You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? Purport. Even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He's unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. He is knowable only by one who has his mercy. Others may go on thinking about him for years together, yet he is unknowable. This very fact is corroborated by the queen, who is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and in almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that he does not show special favor only to one who is great philosopher. He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason only, women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country, and in every sect of religion, it appears that the women are the more interested than the men. This simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervor. What do you think about that, Donnie?
You got us. You caught us. Pointed through our. Sorry.
What were you going to say? I'm not sure what I think about
the guys he's pointing out our putting us on the spotlight that we're very prone to showy, insincere religious fervorism.
Yeah.
Not so easily to surrender. Yeah. Sorry.
In what connection is that? Do you think the sentence, the simplicity of acceptance of the authority of the Lord by anyone, is more effective than showy religious fervor? What is fervor?
Fervor.
Fervor.
Like, the energy, attitude.
Intense, passionate feeling. Without sincerity of purpose. So what does it mean to you, purpose? I'm trying to grasp my mind around this last sentence.
It's more soft and sincere versus masculine and energetic and showy, and I don't know what that means.
the simplicity of acceptance of the authority of the Lord by anyone. I sensed in the energy that there's some like a subtle debate between men and women maybe, but I myself, when I read it, I don't see any, that Prabhupada speaks to a particular gender here. To me, it seems like a general principle that anyone who is showing, there's a saying actually that too much devotion, Prabhupada quotes that, you know that proverb? Too much, maybe Rukmini, she knows. It's a very old statement that Prabhupada made just once maybe.
Too much devotion is a sign of a thief, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it reminds me. But I kind of connected to the part that there are more women in spiritual circles naturally than men, because they are more inspired by this spiritual purpose, and it is pretty much like that. I mean, if you look at Sattvato or temples, and I think it's very beautiful because women, they bring the inspiration, the energy, the Shakti, and they actually, Prabhupada makes a statement in the middle that I like, and it connects to this one portion in the Krishna book where Krishna, he asks the coward boys to go and collect alms. Remember that? The coward boys, they're hungry, and Krishna tells them, "Oh, go to the Brahmin, to the house of the Brahmanas. They're about to offer a sacrifice, so they have a lot of food there. Go and beg." And they went in the bag, and the Brahmanas are like, "Get out! Like we're gonna offer it first, and like, who are you?" And they're telling him like, "It's for Krishna and Balaram," and the Brahmanas, they don't care. Like they worship Krishna, and then Krishna comes, and he asks them, and they don't want to give him personally. Like what kind of like perverted consciousness it is, you know? It's like, so in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami calls it niyamagraha. Like it's too much rules and regulations. Like rules and regulations are good, we should not abolish them, but if the whole purpose is to follow the rules and regulations, not actually to love God, you know, then it's like without any sincerity of purpose. You know, someone might be very strict, you know, but the purpose of his practice is to be strict, so he can show that he is strict. Then it's like he loses the whole point in the practice. But on the other hand, the wives of the Brahmanas, I think that's how the chapter called, maybe, I'm not sure, wives of the Brahmanas or something like that. Krishna delivers the wives of the Brahmanas or whatever. And Krishna told them, go and ask the wives of the Brahmanas, they have some affection for me. So Prabhupada, he speaks to in a similar terminology that because they were simple-minded, as soon as they heard that Krishna and Balaram are hungry, they put everything, and they wanted to bring Krishna that personally too. They were not satisfied by just giving the prasadam to the coward boys. They went together with the coward boys to visit Krishna. So this is a great advantage of having a body of a woman, that the sentiment, provided the sentiment is led correctly, led to Krishna, it can be a very fast track to pure devotional service. But the other side is that Prabhupada too many times says that what women, they're like wind. Sometimes they come, they make a big hua-hua, big commotion, and then they just go out. So men, like it would take him more sort of challenge, or like he would come with like a challenging spirit, or he would, I mean, women and men, they do that too, but that's like sort of these different like gender, psychophysical, like a typical psychophysical behavior that Prabhupada speaks about, how men, they would be more challenging, assertive, like demanding to be like smashed and counteract by some philosophical arguments. But then when they are actually are proved to, if provided they're actually humble and they sincere in purpose, and they accept. Prabhupada says a gentleman, like, it's okay to make mistakes, but a gentleman is someone who after he made a mistake, he admits, yes, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I apologize now. I learned. I can be a better devotee, better man, better husband, better woman, better wife, whatever. So, yeah, that's kind of what I experienced in this verse. Anyone would like to share something? Maybe Rukmini or Dominique, Leah, Keith. Dominic, please.
It's nice to be here with you all today. I'm feeling emotional, and I'm just feeling like really like distant from Krishna and from chanting. I mean, I'm chanting, but I don't want to, and I just feel like I need a day to get back in touch with Krishna. I mean, we need to do that every day, but I feel really distant. And so I'm grateful to be discussing this and just contemplating serving and loving Krishna. It's moving me. And I feel like it's what I've been missing for a few weeks or something. I think for a few weeks because of this pandemic. Well, first of all, like, it just so happens that like on a practical level, my clients that I work online. I'm fortunate, they actually have businesses that increased. So like I had more work to do, but I had, just on a practical level, like confined children, more work, like more pressure, and then kind of just anxiety that I haven't held space for. Anxiety about livelihood and the world, and I haven't had a chance to be with myself. And like I finally got a lot of projects out of the way on Sunday and yesterday, and today I'm just like decompressing, and I don't think I'm so much, I don't know, I think I have like anxiety that's already inside of me that is just like triggered by this pandemic, because when I think logically, like what would happen if this worst case scenario, I can just keep thinking of what I could do. Like even if there wasn't any food, like, okay, I know what I could do, like I could just fast and think of Krishna or something, like I can handle some terrible things. But, I'm not used to that. I'm not comfortable with that. But I think really like ultimately I'm just experiencing the pain of distance from Krishna. And I just feel so far from Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, you're in anxiety from all sides, materially, spiritually, the kids, the work. But I sense from you that especially your disconnected state that you're experiencing from Krishna triggers you the most, because that's what keeps you going. But now it's you're deprived from that, from your Krishna consciousness in a sense.
Yeah,
you feel connected.
Yeah, I think like I'm experiencing more anxiety about the state of the world. And when I get anxious, I get controlling. And then if I'm acting controlling, it's like just completely doesn't work for Krishna consciousness, because I'm not having any faith. I'm not having any faith in Krishna to be the supreme controller. I'm like wanting to control, whether it's like gathering information or making choices or like, so that like increased anxiety, I haven't turned towards Krishna. I've been distant, not wanting to chant, not wanting to read, not wanting to surrender or like give myself.
you found yourself in a situation without taste for the chanting, the reading.
Yeah, bhakti yoga. Yeah, and of course I'm not like leaving. I'm not actually leaving this practice or anything. I'm just struggling, and I want to get back in connection. I want to feel more connected to Prabhupada and Krishna. So I'm here today, and I have less work, and I'm gonna chant and slow down. Anyway, I just thought I'd share personally where I'm at.
Yeah,
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dominique, for sharing where you at with your fear and anxiety and stress. It's we you know, it's very, very personal and intimate sharing. Prabhupada, I really much reminded of Prabhupada's instruction through what you shared at the end, especially that you just want to stop everything and take the time and reconnect with the chanting. Prabhupada says exactly like that. If you find yourself in a position where you're deprived from what makes you going in Krishna consciousness, just sit down and chant and read and like that. And Krishna, he's there. He's always in. He says, I'm not in the spiritual world. I'm not in the heart of the yogi, but I'm there with my devotees chanting, glorifying me or chanting, same thing. And you still, it sounds like you still have faith in that, although you deprived from the taste, but you still understand the principle, and you didn't lose your hope that yes, Krishna is there for me. He's waiting. I just need to reconnect to the chanting. So I find it very, very beautiful, very courageous. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your reflection.
Keith Prabhu?
Also, I was, there's one Radhanath Swami, he says on a short video online, he's saying what's most important for that, like security for women is most important, right? And he was actually saying that the most important is actually emotional security. And because if the emotions are so much turbulent, then you can't focus on spiritual life. You can't focus on other things. Obviously, ultimately, the spiritual life is the absolute most important thing. But what I take from it is that I'm just sensing that you're saying that you're needing some time for yourself and to decompress and not be so overwhelmed by all this anxiety and things, and to clear that out. And then my sense is that you really value your spiritual practices, and like Ramachandra is saying of how important it is to get to seek shelter of the chanting and that. And I'm just wanting to point out that it seems like you're actually showing some internal intelligence, noticing that this anxiety and the pressure that you're in and the situation, and you're needing some time for yourself, shows some internal intelligence, and then you want to reconnect with Krishna and get back into your spiritual practice. I don't know if that sounds helpful to you, but
yeah, that's helpful because you're mentioning holding space for myself. So it's like chanting is holding space for Krishna, and then I'm in that relationship, whether I'm chanting or before or after chanting, like there's just holding space for what I'm experiencing, like and then that by giving space to myself, whatever I'm experiencing, maybe it's emotions, then that can support my relationship with Krishna by basically like expressing. not holding it in, you know. I kind of have been holding it in, or even like reacting to it, not so much just experiencing my experience. And that will clear the air. That can clear the air for me to give myself some space. That's really helpful, and that resonates with me. So I appreciate that.
It's wrong that you don't feel like chanting and stuff like that, and then you think that all that compounds even more with the guilt of that. You know, my interpretation of what he's saying is, you know, just feel okay and be with yourself, and you know, do something, whatever you know what it is that's good for you, like that, and then you'll be in a good state to be able to do your chanting and connect to Krishna, which is what is most important to you.
Yeah. And earlier, Ramachandra, you were talking about self-care. I liked your perspective because you were kind of like looking down on self-care. Self-love and self-care. And I never heard that perspective before, because in personal growth and, you know, conscious living, like, yeah, like, you know, people usually say really promote self-care. So it was an interesting perspective to hear from you, that like what is the self, you know?
If we don't know what is the self, what we care for the self, then we're gonna feel more tortured.
Yeah, so you're like pointing to like soul care, like making the choice to take care of the soul is what you, I think, believe is you're frozen, but yeah, you're making a distinction between like the senses and satisfying the body and making ourselves temporarily happy, and then like actually taking care of the soul. And we do need to take care of the body and the mind and emotions, and you know, that's a part of our service. We have the body and the mind. We need to take care of it. But if
the physical nature of the mind. But if we are the mind, and we base our spiritual life on thinking that we are the mind or with the body, then yeah, we're not gonna actually take care of the self. Prahlad Maharaj, he says like this, that, you know, the materialists, they hoping against hope because they're looking for pleasure where there is no pleasure. It's good to look for pleasure. It's good to be selfish even, but if you mistake the self for someone else, like if we go, let's say, I don't know, we go to a restaurant or whatever, and I invite you, and then whatever you order for yourself, I eat your food, you know, like, or you give me that food and you remain hungry. You know, if you think that I'm you and I think me, I'm you and you're me, and we mistake each other, mistake our identity, then we'll never be happy, we'll never be satisfied. So in that sense, yes, thank you for pointing that out, Dominic. There's nothing wrong with self-care if we know what is the self. But if we think that the self is a man or a woman or American, black, white, you know, this religion or another, there's no purposefulness there. This remains on the surface, and the surface changes, and then, you know, so many things, you know, go wrong after that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so care for the driver of the car. If the car is breaking down, you need to give the appropriate attention to it. But the important thing is the driver of the car and what their destination is.
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. We read the next one together. How do you feel about that? It's a very beautiful verse. The next one, like, it's beautifully chanted. Like all the verses are beautiful, but some are, I feel, especially like it's more easy for them, and they're like more like a really
Hare Krishna. I never got the verse. So where are we at?
8th chapter, 1st canto, 8th chapter, 21st verse. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandaya Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. And again. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya. There's a in the one day, I think that's the new Vrindavan, the lecture that Prabhupada says, and now the ladies, and then the ladies start to chant, and yeah, it's really. Prabhupada did it in a very like a gentleman way, and now the ladies. Yeah. Would you like to chant, Dominique or Rukmini?
I could try.
Yeah.
I don't have that melody that you just did, but Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandaya. There's an echo. So, I'm gonna. Maybe it's because you're unmuted with me. Okay. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha. I just for memory. What's the next one? Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful verse. Yeah, Prabhupada. There is, I think, the next verse when Prabhupada gives a class, he is saying that why did I put the Sanskrit there? Like not that for the scholars. No, it's for my disciples so they can learn and recite and purify their mind. Prabhupada actually says that you can control the mind by memorizing and reciting these verses in the mind throughout the day. Instead of the mind going here and there, Chanchala Manasa Krishna Vayuri Masuduksharam. Arjuna says the mind is so restless, you cannot control it. But Prabhupada gave these mantras and it's really captivating the mind. Like I usually, kind of part of my sadhana after we finish the session here, the first thing I do in the morning after I take breakfast and all the stuff, I sit and I have some verses that I'm like trying to memorize and then throughout the day they reappear in my mind. When the mind has nothing to do, it just reappears. You know? Nice. So Rukmini Mataji, she knows these verses she's been practicing for so long, so it's in her heart and she gives us some inspiration to keep on. Thank you, Mataji. Translation. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudev, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and other cowardsmen of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and senses. Report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbounded and causeless mercy all me, he descends on the earth as he is in order to show his special mercy upon his unallowed devotees and to diminish the upward surge in the strength of quantity of something increase. The upsurges of the demoniac persons. The Queen Kunti specifically adores the incarnation of descent of Lord Krishna than all other incarnations, because in this particular incarnation he is more homely than other incarnations. In the Rama incarnation, he remained as a king's son from the very childhood. But in the incarnation of Krishna, although he is son of a king, he at once left the shelter of his real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after his appearance, and went to the lap of Yashoda Maya to play the part of ordinary coward boy in the blessed Braja Bhumi, which is ever sanctified on account of his childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Rama, and therefore he signifies his name. Therefore, he signifies his name Krishna more respectfully. He is undoubtedly very kind upon his brother Vasudeva and the family. He had not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti, and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew and thus address Krishna in filial affection. Had he not become, this like kind of puzzles my mind a bit. Had he had not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew and thus address Krishna in filial affection. How do you understand that, Prabhu? What is like this filial affection? Or I'm a bit puzzled.
In the translation I'm reading, it says parental affection.
That part in your version, maybe that will shed more light.
What? I didn't hear what you said.
If you could read that part in your version, maybe that will shed more light too.
Just that one sentence?
Yeah.
It's the same thing except parental affection at the end, not filial. Filial means like familial.
Okay.
So what I understand is that Queen Kunti wanted to relate to Krishna as like as a son or nephew, which is a parental affection, and that's what she wanted. And so then she got this whole pastime that evolved as where Krishna was her nephew, so she got to experience her desire. That's how she wanted to serve him and relate to him.
She's like grateful for him appearing in as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki, because she could experience that connection.
That's what I understand.
Nice. Thank you, Dominic.
I'm sorry, but the only thing that I can focus on is the fact that he used the word homely earlier on. It said adores the incarnation or descent of Lord Krishna above all incarnations because his particular incarnation is more homely.
Also, what is that version? Because that's not the word that's used here.
Oh, here is approachable.
There is this is the Delhi Bhagavatam. This is the Bhagavatam that Prabhupada typed himself using his index finger in India. So it's more like, in a sense, like experimental, or like, I mean, Prabhupada, he was selling these books when he came to the States, like the first like hundreds of sets or something like that. They were from this particular book.
Oh yeah, the original set.
And it's like more of a Prabhupada style. And I mean, considering the fact that, I mean, of course, Prabhupada, he has his specific English and sort of like transcendental mistakes and his grammar and so on and so on. But why am I saying transcendental? It's very important because nothing that it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that nothing that the pure devotee says is it's like a mistake. I think I have it somewhere saved. But Krishna Kaviraj Das Goswami explains that point, that even if a pure devotee says something swiftly or like, you know, in a seemingly not important way, it should not be taken as not important. This is you know, a devotee who is, while he's speaking to us, he is in the spiritual world. Like, why would he waste time, you know, talking about something to us? So it's like there is, I personally find a lot of depth in why Prabhupada uses a certain word in his specific way. Like even like a term that was left from the editing, which is very popular, and they couldn't just put it away because Prabhupada uses it in all his lectures. And this is like Prabhupada, in a sense, he redefines dictionary in using that term, is unalloyed devotional service. Like when you think about it, unalloyed, it's something that applicable to metals, right? Unalloyed steel, and the history behind it, maybe some of you know, is Prabhupada, when he arrived to the harbor in Boston, the first thing he saw was unalloyed steel, stainless steel company, something like that. And Prabhupada used it throughout his books, throughout his lectures, in his interactions, unalloyed, unadulterated devotional service, unalloyed, you know. But I mean, grammatically, it's like what, like Prabhupada, it's like for metals. It's like, why are you using that? But no, Prabhupada, he has a very specific mood in his how he uses Krishna consciousness, and so much of Prabhupada's personality is there, and that's why I kind of like to sometimes I read from this version, sometimes I go to the firstly edited, secondly edited, like that. I don't think there is anything wrong with either of them. It's just a different mellow, different mood. Prabhupada appreciated the work of the editors, and he wanted them to correct the grammar so it's presentable to the more concerned or like conservative or like the professors, the scholars, and because most of the people, they don't have this feeling that I think we like between us, we share towards Prabhupada, that Prabhupada is transcendental and he's cute in the way how he makes a mistake, and
yeah,
you know, we're not like,
I get a kick out of it. It's not, I'm not like
yeah.
thinking, oh, what, I'm not thinking less of him.
Yeah, you're not
it's
like
just some like funny, you know, like I get what you mean. But like scholars who don't already have some established connection there, criticize it very harshly.
And that's why Prabhupada did like the idea of, you know, refining that. Hey, Gaetano, Hare Krishna. How's it going? Nice to see you, Prabhu. But yeah, I will try to find this quote later and send you. I'm a bit distracted. But Patrick, Hare Krishna, good morning. But yeah, this is kind of the mood that nothing that actually Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada's spiritual master, he said, whatever Abhay Charan, Prabhupada's uninitiated name, I mean, he kept that name, but before he got initiated, is Abhay Charanavar, Charanaravinda. Thank you, Prabhu. That he is fearless because he's taken shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. So Bhaktisiddhanta, he would say, whatever Abhay Charan he writes, even if it's a scrape on like a note, you know, you publish it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was already back in like the 30s, you know, before
So Bhaktisiddhanta said that?
Yes.
Scrap on a scrap piece of paper. Wow, you felt that way about Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, you printed. They had the magazine, The Harmonist, and a few others, I think, too. But Bhaktisiddhanta was always very supportive of Prabhupada's impact in his writing. You know, so before that, few chapters before, Narada Muni, I think that's Narada Muni who tells to his disciple Vyasadeva, the author of all the Vedic literatures, that, you know, even imperfectly composed, because accepted by devotees who are thoroughly honest, the message of the Bhagavatam, you know, is unscrupulous, something like that. So yeah, that's kind of my usually mood when I, you know, especially conversations too, like it's very like delicate and intimate, and Prabhupada too many times he says things which are like very controversial in the conversations, and my understanding is that Prabhupada Prabhupada wanted everyone to read the books and everyone to read the conversations and the letters and everything, but to prepare really our mind in a respectful and in the right attitude towards the spiritual master. We can take shelter, first of the books and then go to the conversations and it's so important because if we really lose this respect to the spiritual master, if we don't love, like what to speak of, if you don't respect someone, how can you really love him? Then the knowledge is not imparted, the Vedic knowledge. By having full faith in the spiritual master, one gets all the conclusions, all the knowledge and the conclusion of the Vedas are imparted to that living entity. I forgot the Sanskrit, but it's a very important verse. I should have remembered that. But it's like, anyways, I find it intimate and cute. Homely. I kind of think about like a homie.
No, it's not. It's differently.
Homely.
Homely means somebody that's not so attractive.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Did we finish the verse? No, we didn't.
I think of homely as like not like very sophisticated like a queen or king. It's just a really like a common person that's dressed in plain clothes or something like that.
There could be some, as far as the dictionary definition that Prabhupada would have been going on, maybe was closer to the actual English definition. I know growing up, I heard it used in the way of somebody being like ugly or maybe not dressed well, or just kind of like
it's like Vrindavan mood. Krishna is barefoot.
Like that.
He's not wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
He's half naked.
Yeah.
Prabhupada says Krishna is a hippie.
Yeah.
Krishna is a hippie, long hair, no shirt, bare feet.
Yeah.
Like there's this pastime that Mother Yashoda calls him a crow or something like that. You're like a crow.
Oh, yeah.
You're like you're dirty and you play with the boys. You became like had so much dust. So someone addressed him like a crow.
Yeah. That's funny.
Hare Krishna. Where are we? Filial affection, lords, pastimes attractive to all of that. There's no parallel of his childhood pastimes as exhibited at Brajabhumi, just the prototype of his eternal affairs in the original Krishna Loka, described as Chintamani Dham in the Brahma Samhita. It's interesting because we're not finished, but we finished the like global 64 qualities of Krishna. And now we like going into the evening readings. If some of you watched maybe the real broadcast, because I think I haven't seen yet any one of you in the evening, but it's fine. But you can watch the rebroadcast. And in yesterday's program, we went to like qualities like grave and steadfast, and Prabhupada gradually he goes to all the 64 qualities that Krishna possesses in minute detail. And one of the special qualities that Prabhupada touches now that no other incarnation of Krishna has is his childhood pastimes. It's something very, very specific that one of like unparalleled like pastime is something like that, right? One of the 4 qualities. Like the first one, one of the 4 qualities is also that Krishna plays a musical instrument. He plays a flute. This is something that no other incarnation does. And he has devotees that he's surrounded by devotees that love him unconditionally in an unparalleled way or something like that. He's very beautiful, and then he has like exotic or like really wild pastimes, like Lord Ramachandra, he has like some wild pastime there, but it's very kind of rigid. Feels very rigid. He's not like trying really hard to impress us there. But Krishna is like, Arjuna, you go and you kill, gopis, you come, you dance with me, and so many wild things. He goes to fight, like Lord Ramachandra goes to fight. And he forgets his weapons. Krishna forgets his weapons, and he just runs around, and he finishes the battle like that by running. Rancha.
Yeah.
So it's really wild, and
Play like monkeys with his friends.
yeah, or imitating the animals. There's no parlor. Lord Shri Krishna descends himself in Braj Bhumi exactly with all his transcendental encourage, entourage, and paraphernalia. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that nobody is so fortunate as the residents of Braj Bhumi, specifically the cowherd girls who dedicated their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda, Yashoda, his pastimes with the cowherd men, and especially the cowherd boys and the cows, have celebrated him to be known as Govinda. Govindaya Namo Namaha. Lord Krishna, as Govinda, is more inclined to the Brahmins and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and cow protection. And Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these two things are lacking, in fact. It's nice. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these two things are lacking. Cows? What are the two things? Brahminical culture and cows.
Cow protection.
Cow protection. Yeah, like when we offer food stuff here. Anyone already did their first offering today? I didn't offer yet anything. Yeah, me neither.
We have Dear Govinda.
Oh, Dear Govinda, yes, he just offered, right?
For us. Yeah.
So that's one of the prayers, right? Namo, what is that? I'm like that. Save me, give. What do we say in the last mantra?
In the last mantra
of the offering.
Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Pichai Devaya Go Brahmana.
What an embarrassment. Namo Brahmaya Devaya Go Itaya Chajagadhita Krishna Govinda Namo Namaha. Namo Brahmaya Devaya Go Brahmaya Itaya Chajagadhita Krishna Govinda Namo Namaha. Yes, so that's the mantra for the cows and the brahmanas. We trying to captivate Krishna's attention, but please Krishna come and help us to distribute it to all the brahmanas and the cows. In Vrindavan, I remember I would get some extra chapatis from the temple, and I will go and I will feed the cows on the street. It's so fun. They love chapatis. I mean, they like pretty much everything, but they like chapatis and they like gur. Like people would feed them these huge bricks of gur. Yeah. And watermelons. They like watermelons too. Hare Krishna. So, okay. Next is a very beautiful verse, but just to excite you, we can keep it for, I guess it will be for already next week, because I'm not sure. Malini, she said, Dear Govinda Prabhu, so Malini, she won't be able to lead the discussion Thursday? No, she won't. She won't. Okay, so I will keep you captivated, and we're gonna recite this beautiful verse. Why don't we just recite the verse, and then we're gonna read it on Thursday together.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah, but tomorrow we thought to see what Prabhupada says about Hanumanji, because it's his appearance day. So we're all just gonna share gifts of Hanuman Shastra, Hanuman quotes from Prabhupada's Vani.
So we'll see what we do on Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
You're reading from Teachings of Queen
Kunti. Yeah. Yes.
Is that what you're doing today?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So this 22nd verse reads as follows. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Namine, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajan Graye, Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Namine, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankaja Graye. Ladies?
Okay, I lost my page, but I just got back to it, so I didn't practice this with you, but here we are. Namapan Kajanabaya Namapan Kajamaline Namapan Kajanetraya Namaste Pankajangra. Yay.
Beautiful, great. Yeah, so I'm in full anticipation to read that verse. I think we read it like a few days ago in Nectar of Devotion reading. We had this like really exciting Nectar of Devotion reading once when we read from a Krishna book and this verse, Nectar of Devotion, and this is the verse actually where Prabhupada he says that we can decorate our mind with like the lotus flowers that Krishna has naturally engraved in his body, depressions. He has different depressions engraved with marks of lotus flowers.
I'm going to read this now instead of Thursday.
Okay.
I mean, when we say goodbye. I'm excited about this decoration of the mind.
Yeah. If we can keep this verse in the mind, it cools down the mind and the gross and subtle body, just like the lotus flower. It's very cooling effect on the consciousness. Or the moon, lotus flower, moon. Right, Rukmini? Hare Krishna.
What did you say? What did you ask?
I was reflecting that my experience of this verse is that when I remember how Krishna is engraved with marks of lotus flower all across his body, the abdomen, the thighs, the face, it's really soothing. It's cooling down the consciousness.
Right. Yeah. By the way, I see Dominique's face lighted up all the way from the very beginning. You can see how good this class has done to her. Nice.
You perceive some transformation in her.
Yeah, it's nice. This is soothing to see her face now. It's soothing.
Hare Krishna. Would anyone like to share something about before we close the class? The Sangha, Satsanga. How about you, Patrick? What are you up for there today? Some adventures?
Hare Krishna. Adventures, yeah, always. Yeah, well, I came in late, but this part of the Bhagavatam is my personal reading, my first time reading the Bhagavatam, and this is where I'm at in my reading. I'm actually on text. I think I'm on 18. I'm on text 8. Wow. Yeah, for my personal reading, wherever I was reading. I feel like when I got to this part, with like the Brahmastra and was it Aniruddha or whatever, or Asvatthama. Yeah, when I got to this part, I was like, oh, things are happening now. I was getting excited about like getting into the drama, with the Pandavas and everything. So I was excited about that.
Oh my God, ninja! Good morning, Nalini. Oh my God! I can be a ninja too.
Divine weapons. Use the weapons, Ram. Use the weapons.
Don't kill him. Don't kill him.
What is your favorite flower, Nalini? You have a favorite flower? You like flowers?
Yeah, I like lotus flowers.
Ah, lotus flowers. So Thursday, maybe Thursday, we'll see what we're going to do, but most likely we're going to read something about lotus flowers. So make sure you bring Daddy with you so he's not missing out. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your mood and uplifting spirit. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Bhagavatam ki jai. Srimati Kunti Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.